Thank you so much, Ian. And good afternoon, KW family and guests. I am so excited to be here today. I'm Anna Marin. I'm the team leader of the newest KW Canada office, KW Legacies in Vaughan. Now, before we get started here, let's take a big stretch, shake it out. We've been sitting down for like 5 hours now. So, get some water if you need to, and we're gonna start getting into it right away. So first off, I want you guys to go in the chat. First off, put your number one takeaway from today, something that you're, either going to go back and implement into your business or that you've really fully, grasped and that you're really excited about sharing with others. So make sure that you put that in the chat while we're diving into the session. Now, I want to touch briefly. There's a quote that says, as a leader, you don't build a business, you build people, and then people build the businesses. So we know KW does a great job of building people, and all of the people on the call with us today have built some amazing businesses. So I'd really, really like to welcome our panelists. If you guys could just give a little wave when I call out your name. So we've got Andrew Perkins from Halifax. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how you doing?
We've got Michelle Harton from Winnipeg.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Michelle. We've got Barb Bess from Toronto.
Hello.
And Brian is going to be joining us shortly. And we've got Vicky as well from Grand Falls, New Brunswick. Welcome, Vicky.
Hi, guys.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. So let's get started. I like to just dive in, beginning with Andrew. Andrew, can you just talk to us briefly about, your level of business, your transaction count, and where your focus lies in your business, whether it's on the buy side or the sell side?
Yeah, so I've been in the business now for about 15 years. Last year, I did about 42 transactions, 350 in GCI. This year, we're going to we've already blown past that this year, so it's going to be a much bigger year this year. So that's where we stand now. Anything else? Any other questions for that? Is that what you're looking for?
I think that's good. That's good. Thanks so much for sharing. That's crazy. And we're going to hear a huge variation of numbers because we've got, the East Coast representing, we've got Ontario, and a little bit of the mid coast, I guess, or like the mid of Ontario. We don't have the West Coast representing us here today, but that's all right. So Michelle, same question for you. Can you talk to your transaction count, level of business, and where your focus lies in real estate?
Sure. I got licensed in January 2019, so I'm working on my third year. First year, I set myself goals, and that's kind of what I run my business by. But my first year, I set a goal of 15 transactions because I was working part-time, ended up doing 26. In my second year, I didn't really kind of set myself a goal, just kind of wanted to see where it was going to go with COVID and everything. Ended up doing 46 transaction, just over 200,000 GCI. This year so far, I'm at 35 transactions. Once those close, I'll be around 155 GCI. I do a lot of vacant land transactions as well, so which is why some of my numbers are different than others.
Amazing.
I guess my main goal is I'm not so much a transactional agent, but more of a relationship building agent.
Great. So we're going to touch on that because a lot of you actually sent me your bios previously, and you mentioned that you are in the business of building relationships. So we're going to focus on that as well. Barb, over to you. Tell us about your level of business, what your focus is, and where you're at.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Last year, I think it was 40 deals that equaled about 50 million in sales volume and just under 1.3 million. This year is not going to probably be that, but we'll see. I think the pandemic just pushed a lot of people to sell in my particular area. So I do focus mostly, I'd say 70% of my business is listings. And I do have an assistant, and I'm just trying to think what else. Did I miss something there? Sorry.
No, I think okay. You got it all. That's awesome.
Okay.
So I think Brian might be having a bit of tech issues, Bo, if you could maybe support him with that. But Vicky, same question for you, level of business, transactions, and where your focus lies.
Okay, so I'm from Grand Falls, a small town in New Brunswick. I've been in real estate since 2017, so for 4 years. Last year, I sold 128 transactions. And I do kind of both. I do a lot of buying and selling, so I kind of do both sides, and mostly all residential. And this year, I'm about around 95 transactions so far. So looking like a pretty good year.
It's a lot of work.
Huge numbers.
A
Huge
lot,
numbers on the East Coast. I love it.
Yeah.
a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of hours.
I can imagine. So we're going to talk about some of the leverage pieces that you have implemented into your business as well. So now I want to focus more on the lead generation side. So we're all in very different markets. However, our business does not run without leads. So now we're going to start reverse. Vicky, back to you. What do you do to prospect for your business?
So at first, when I started, obviously when you're a new agent and you start at zero. So I use a lot, like Facebook helped me a lot to start to grow my business. Now I get a lot of referrals from past clients, so that, it takes time for that to grow, but now I get a lot of referrals. I do a lot of Facebook posts, social ads, and I just tend to go out in general public and start to have conversations with people, and there's always someone out there looking to buy or sell, right? So
And you're in a market, obviously, that there's a lot of transactions constantly happening. Do you get a lot of new business, or do you mainly just focus on repeat referrals right now?
no, I do get a lot of new business. Once you're in, real estate for a few years, then people start to get, I'm in a very small town, so you kind of know everyone around, but a lot of referrals and a lot of new business as well. So it's kind of both sides right now.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Now over to Barb. So Barb, what kind of prospecting do you do currently, and what kind of systems do you have for lead generation?
So I started a geographical farm about 5 years ago, and it's actually very small. There's about 600 homes in it. And I think somebody else on the panel mentioned before about the family reunion. I've never missed one, and they kept saying, start a farm. And I kept saying, oh, I can't door knock or whatever. So I don't really door knock anymore, but I did for the first couple of years religiously. And that was definitely a game changer. It probably makes up for about 70% of my income, but maybe only, 50% of my business, and the rest is from repeat and referral. But it makes up the majority of my GCI.
And just to focus a little bit on the farming, so what kind of touch points do you do to keep in touch with your farm?
So because it's such a small farm, when I did door knock, I could do all the doors within 5 days. I did about 2 hours a day, and I do it once a quarter with a newsletter that I wrote. So I make it super personal. It's not canned stuff. It's strictly about the sales in that particular area. It's kind of like all the homes are kind of the same in that particular area. And I do a postcard once a month. I change it up. I support a business on the back of one card, and on the front of one card, I talk about what I could provide for them. And because we can't door knock now or go visit people during the pandemic, I actually write love letters to them. So I call them love letters. I just make it super, super personal and tell them I'm here for them and just update them on the market. So
I love that. That's awesome. Do you implement any kind of calling to your farming as well, or is it mainly just kind of in person and flyers?
Yeah, so my amazing assistant, Ruth, I hired her actually 5 years ago, and that's when I started the farms. I figured I'd have time. She created a binder for me, and I know it's kind of old school, but it's pen and paper, and everybody that's in my farm is in that binder. So every time I hit a street, I take that one street with me, and I just basically say, hey, I'm having a wine and cheese for my next listing. Would you like to be invited? And nobody ever says no. And I get their email that way. And then I ask them for their number, and usually they give it to me. And then, so every time now that a sale happens, I phone them. Anyone that I have contact with, I phone them a lot more now during the situation we're in.
That's great. Thanks so much, Barb, for sharing. Before we come back to Michelle for your lead generation systems, let's go to Brian now that you've joined us. Brian, welcome today. How are you? Oh.
I think you're on mute.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Tech support,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Diane. I'm in.
Awesome. So let us know about, who you are just briefly and your level of business currently.
Yeah, so Brian Ellis, and I'm with Keller Williams Innovation in Kitchener. I've been a realtor for, this will be my 10th year anniversary year. So we're going to celebrate and have lots of fun with that, but been with Keller Williams since day one. So my team is the Brian Ellis sales team, but it's of course me as a single agent, and just, we can talk more about kind of the other people around me, but I sell about 50 homes a year. That's always my goal and what's manageable. So we have fun with it, working with really good people. And I always say good people know good people. So we keep it really personal.
Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Michelle. Let's talk about some of your lead generation systems and what you do for prospecting.
Sure. So when I first started in the business, it was January. So I didn't have any listings until the end of January. So what I did is I contacted the other agents in our office. I did door knocking and open houses for them, but I was very intentional about it. So what I did was, whenever I was doing an open house, I would go and door knock and send out flyers to make sure that people would show up. And then, just try to convert them at the open house as clients. Some of those were successful, but most of my business is all from my sphere and repeat clients and referrals. So I always do a buyer's consult and a listing appointment with anyone that I am going to be working with. And then I'm intentional in my presentations to tell them that that is how my business grows. So that quarterly or periodically, I will be contacting them once our interaction is over, just to check in on them and to see if they have anyone for their business to send my way. And of course, I always tell them, if they're satisfied with my services, right? So I would say about 75% of my business is referrals.
Wow, that's huge. And that goes to say about consistency and following up with your people, right? So since last year, obviously we haven't been able to do open houses. What's the way that you've pivoted your lead gen to make up for the loss in that prospecting?
I think it's just mostly like being in touch with everyone and just checking in on how they were during COVID, just to hey, I'm headed to the city today. Do you guys need anything? And just adding value and not contacting them so much on real estate, but just to see how they were doing generally. And then half the time they would be like, hey, you know what? My coworker just said that they were looking at possibly purchasing. Can I give them your name? And obviously I always say yes. So but yeah, just being intentional on my touches. And I also run a lot of contests on Facebook. I'll do like pumpkin carving contests, Christmas tree, Easter egg decorating, and then just like little giveaways. One that's super popular because I do a lot of rural business is some days I'll be driving like 300 plus kilometers in one day. So I'll kind of like put out a contest saying like, hey, how many kilometers am I going to drive today? Here's all the spots that I'll be hitting. And I get a lot of interaction that way from people online. So I think just having that online presence helps with being first in mind.
That's great. I know, I think all of you guys have such great social media presence from what I've seen. And Andrew, I want to turn it to you now. Let's focus on your lead generation activities and what you do for prospecting.
Yeah, so I kind of concentrate a lot of my business on condos. I live in the downtown Halifax area, and there's a high density of condos here. So I'd say about 10 or 11 years ago, I started a website just called Halifax Condos, and we did a lot of work on that with SEO, and we don't really do, it's all organic. So if you type in Halifax Condos, that my website's probably going to be the first hit that you get. So on there, we have lots of search functions and stuff like that. And I also kind of pair that with I have a market leader website. So if people come on my website and they search for a certain thing, they go to market leader, they look at a couple of listings, then they have to sign up. And then we have just a step-by-step process that we put everybody through. Every lead is the same. No lead is different. They get the same, the same service that we put them through. So that for the last 10 years has been, I'd always get probably 10 or 15 deals from that website. And then the rest of it's just referrals and repeat. So it's, we do Morris marketing for our repeat customer or our repeat clients. So we can stay in touch with them once a month. We do a newsletter, like an online newsletter once a month. And then we're heavy on social media and stuff. So web presence is big for us. So that's kind of how we generate our leads and keep moving forward.
Amazing. Now, taking a look at your bio on your website, it says that you've shown listed or sold condos in most of the condo buildings in Halifax region. Now, when did you first realize you had that market share? And I guess, what were some of the things that you did in your initial days of being a realtor to, I guess, take over the condo market?
Yeah, so the biggest thing was I bought a condo and I realized that I really like living in a condo. I live in a condo now. I own 4 condos. So I really understand that market. I sit on the board of all these condominiums. So I just know the ins and outs of it, and I can easily articulate that to someone who's kind of green into condos. So, that I started in 2007. I say within 3 years, I've realized that was my niche and I really enjoyed it. And it's, there's no wells or septics to have to worry about. So, that's kind of the way I like my business.
It's good. You got to find your niche and then stick with
That's
it.
right.
So I think that's a great message. Thanks so much, Andrew.
No problem.
Brian, lead generation. I know you're a big social media guy. Tell us about how you prospect for your business.
Yeah. So for me, social media is the name of the game. That's the hub. That's kind of everything. That's where I get new people and stay in touch with my current people. So it's just very laser focused on social media. Basically everything for myself, it's fairly passive. It's more about attraction than cold calling, right? Where I'm not directly touching base with them, they're touching base with me. And I kind of like it that way because, then they know me, they like me, they trust me. And without trust, nothing happens in business, right? So social media, it's a great kind of, easier way to connect with people on a personal level where I'm not bothering them, they're coming to me.
I think that's such a great message too, especially living in a virtual world for this, like fully virtual world for the past year and a bit, right? So social media is a great way to prospect, just depends on how you use it and staying consistent with it, just like all of the other lead generation methods that we've talked about thus far. Now, before I let you go, Brian, can you just talk to the church listing that you just had? Can you talk about that a little bit? It got featured on so many places. So
Yeah.
let's hear about it.
So we just sold an amazing church. My clients converted it into a dream home, and it was just outside Kitchener. But I've incorporated TikTok in my business. We shot a video for it. The main purpose was for Instagram Reels, but then I posted it on TikTok. It went viral with 3.6 million views, and we had calls from New York and LA kind of wanting to feature us, and it was even featured on the #1 TV channel in Greece. It just went global. So yeah, I went from 200 followers on TikTok to 25,000 followers on TikTok in 2 days.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so we have fun with it. Like, you never know when something's going to catch on, but yeah, I would definitely encourage everyone to get on TikTok. I've been on it for a long time. It's just you have to kind of find what works, right? And it's kind of a nice, light and more fun way than a lot of other kind of social media platforms. Maybe it's a little bit more silly. There's just kind of that fine balance, I guess, right?
For sure. I think it's such a great tool nowadays, especially I find the reels on Instagram also work wonders. Like, you can get so many views, and it might not work right away, but they eventually kind of pick up some steam and you can get a ton of views. So great suggestion there. So, being a solo agent, I think you would all agree that you kind of create the team of people around you, whether it's realtors, partners, other, allied resources. But I want to focus on mentors. So can you guys tell me who your top mentor was or is through your career and one of the things that you learned from them? So I'm going to start back with Vicky. Vicky, who's been your top mentor throughout your career and what did you learn?
My top mentor, obviously, when I started real estate 4 years ago, I was with a different company. But then I met with my awesome now broker. His name is Austin. And when I met with him, he asked me, the first thing he asked me, he said, Vicky, what are your numbers? So I didn't even know what my numbers were. And I was in the real estate for a year. So he taught me so much. Like he taught me to, he's there. He listens to me. He's supportive when I have a question, like he's there to answer. I feel like he knows all the answers. So when I have a question or I need some help or advice or my top mentor would be my broker, Austin.
Great, thank you for sharing. I know Austin's an amazing person, so he's a great mentor. All right, back to you, Brian. Who's your top mentor?
So top mentors, well, when I first got into the business, I was younger. So there was a guy by the name of Bruce Keith. And I said to Bruce, like, I had some limiting beliefs, but one of them was, am I too young to get into real estate? But he said, you're never too young or too old to do anything. People just want a good job done. So then the rest is history. But I was on a team shortly after getting into real estate. So he was a good mentor. Unfortunately, though, that ended very poorly. And now I don't really have any top mentors. There's people I admire and there's different skills that I kind of learn from multiple different people, but no one in particular right now for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And Barb, who's been one of your top mentors and what did you learn from them?
In real estate, I would say it's Glenn McQueenie. He's a owner of a few offices, I believe. And I had a few conversations with him at family reunion and then did some calls with him. And, it was never about the numbers, ironically. It was really, I'd say the biggest thing was really living in my authenticity with the personal experiences that you can create with clients and just really being yourself. And it doesn't have to be so structured and sort of canned. And that was amazing. I just felt free. So he's been extremely helpful in my career in real estate.
Great to hear that. Also an amazing mentor. Great to hear. Michelle, same question for you.
Sure. So I guess my mentor actually isn't someone who is in real estate, and none of you probably know who she is, but it was the first person who gave me my first employment when I was 12. She gave me a chance and put responsibilities on me and she probably seen my worth more than I did at that young, fragile age. I worked for her until I was 18. And then a few other workplaces too that just really good leadership and being personable, right? And having good customer service at those past employments. But for real estate, I would have to say there's a few people, my broker being one, and her spouse, who is also an agent at our office, and then a few other agents in our office as well, that are very good at sharing and educating and uplifting the other agents like myself in our office, right? So hats off to a lot of people. It's not just one person has their own success. It's a lot of stepping stones from others willing to share their information.
Yeah, I think that's the main message here is that no one succeeds alone, and you're the average of the people that you surround yourself with. So that's hugely important, and that's why I wanted to hear about that from you guys. Now, Andrew, I know you haven't shared your mentor. Who's been your top mentor, and what did you learn from them?
I would say my top mentor would be Ron Birmingham. He's operating principal in St. John's now. He opened the Keller Williams here in Halifax in Atlantic Canada. And he's the one who kept at me to get into the business when I first started for years. It took me a while to actually come around. But, with Ron, I don't know if you guys know Ron, but he's just such a good guy, such a laid back guy. And we work closely together for 3 years. He was always there anytime I needed anything, and he still is. He's in Newfoundland now. He was here in Halifax for 4 years, but he's in Newfoundland now. And anytime you need anything, you pick up the phone and phone Ron, and he's there to help. And he's just always been very supportive of my career and always looking for me to do the best that I can. And he always looked out for me, and I appreciate it. And he's a great guy. And if you guys don't know him, try to get to know him, because he's one of the best.
You know, I love gratitude, and that's why I thought that question was so important. I can see how grateful you guys are for the mentors in your life. So thank you so much for sharing. Now, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they looked at other corporations and big businesses, and then we looked at real estate, and it seems to be the only business where a large majority of realtors don't, business plan. And, they might be making $500,000 and they might not even have, a model that they follow. So I want to kind of hear from you guys. What kind of business planning do you do for your business, if any, right now? What are some of those systems that you've got set up for yourself? You're all consistently hitting some big numbers, so I'm sure there's some stuff that you might want to share. Let's start back with Andrew.
Yeah, so every year, usually by the end of November, the beginning of December, I start setting my goals for the following year. I try to be very specific with my goals and my targets on what I want to hit, not just in real estate, but in personal life as well. And I'm a huge spreadsheet guy, so everything is on a spreadsheet. I know, like when my checks come in, I know exactly how much I'm going to make before they hit my account. And if they're off at all, the office knows when I'm calling, why I'm calling. And yeah, so I just keep everything in spreadsheets. And make sure that, I'm hitting my goals. I go over and I just hired an assistant last July, and that's been very helpful. So yeah, so that's how I set my goals every year, and I try to make sure that I review them every quarter to see where we stand. And that's, yeah, spreadsheets, lots of them.
Were you always a business planner, Andrew?
I wouldn't say no. Once your business starts growing, you kind of have to. Right, like it's yeah, I
typically find it's painful for realtors to get into business planning, but it's such an important part of what we do to make sure that we're servicing our clients at a high level and consistently also bringing in business.
Yeah, this year we started to do profit and loss. Like we took a spreadsheet from a coach I had a couple of years ago, and that's been hugely helpful to be able to see where all your expenses are going. What you're spending money on, trying to cut back here, maybe put some more money in here, like listening to Barb talking about her farm area. Like we just signed up for our farm area, and we're starting in July, a brand new farm area. We're going to hit 1,200 homes in the south end of Halifax. So really excited about that. And that's really going to propel our business forward.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And just last question around that, was it painful to start doing business planning?
No, not really.
Not really? That's good.
I didn't think so. No, I mean, I've kind of always been a goal setter. So, to plan for the business, it was a natural progression.
That's great. Great to hear. Michelle, what kind of business planning do you do?
I actually come from the accounting background, so I am a lot like Andrew, and a lot of what he said I do as well. So I have all of my deals, current listing, current buyers in spreadsheets. And very much so, I know exactly how much is coming into the account. I like to budget accordingly as well. So prior to taking on a listing, I'm going to know, depending on what kind of listing it is, how much it's going to cost me at the end once I sell it, and where I'm spending my marketing dollars on that. So I think it's very important to track everything, because that way you have something to show, right? So if you set a goal of so many transactions per month is what I do. So I have my yearly goal, and then to keep myself on track, I break it down into months.
Awesome. I know we have Profit Camp coming up. Would someone be able to post a link in the chat if they've got it? I don't have it in front of me right now, but I think that's such an important course for everyone to take, especially just for, planning out where your expenses are going. You could be grossing, let's say $200,000, but at the end of the day, what are you actually netting and what are you bringing home? I think that's the most important number. And if you don't know that, you should get on that. let's figure it out. And if you're, having struggles with that, there's people around you, people on this call that want to teach you about that. So don't be afraid to reach out. All right. Who am I on? Barb. Miss Barb.
The question alone gives me angst. It makes me squirm in my chair.
I saw you squirm when I asked.
Yeah, I know it's my least favorite thing to do, although I do love tracking GCI. And, it's an important point that Andrew said earlier about goal setting versus business planning, two totally different things. I love goal setting. I'm super big on that. I do that, very often, but it's just in the last couple of years that I've gotten into the business planning thing. So this is good. But I forgot to also mention Diane Mitchell, the owner of our brokerage, Keller Advantage. Amazing woman who actually taught me in my first year about the business planning clinic where you do the number of transactions and how many appointments to go on. So I do that every year, but now it's much more important, like you said, to figure out what your net's going to be. So I'm working on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. And honestly, I feel like it's good to be vulnerable in that sense, because it is a painful thing for a lot of people and it is uncomfy. But once you break out of that and you're constantly seeing how you're reinvesting your money, that's when really great things can happen, right? And then there's explosive growth. So thank you 100%. So much, Barb.
Yeah.
Brian, Mr. Brian, over to you.
I'll offer a fresh perspective here because I'm not a spreadsheet man. That's the last thing I want to do. I kind of go by, that's why I like real estate. You can do what you want. So I like doing what I want, and I want to have fun and do things I'm passionate about. And I'm not like your average person because I've kind of kept it at a very high level and just consistently. I'm not looking to kill myself and sell 100, deals, do 100 deals a year. I don't want to have 10 people behind me. And now now I'm not even doing what I love. Now I'm managing people. So anyways, with my business planning, I keep it very, very simple. I think truly too many people just latch on to business planning and self-destruct. If that's your passion, then you're not going to self-destruct, you're going to launch. But for most people, they're not passionate about it. It might kind of, kill the plant before it grows potentially. But I just kind of do the same thing. I kind of say I don't have scripts. I just say the same thing all the time. It's kind of like that with business planning for myself. Yeah.
Awesome. I did just put Profit Camp in the chat for those that want to register. It's on July 13th. I think, again, it's a great message to share with you guys. If you haven't business planned, make sure you start that. And Vicky, what kind of business planning do you do?
So I'm going to have to agree with Brian on this. This is not something that I look forward to, business planning or count ins and outs and numbers. And I don't calculate how much I'm going to make when I'm going to a listing. I usually just like to do what I love to do. If someone calls me for a listing, I am there. It's in my agenda. I will list it and I will sell it. But I don't do a lot of business planning at all. I feel like it's such a circus right now and it's so busy, and it's just, I have listings and buyers in my agenda and I do what I need to do. And for me, business planning is not something that I will focus on as much. I do have goals though. I do set my goals. I do like to compare what I did last year and where I'm at this point of the year. So that I do follow. If I'm behind from last year, I'm very competitive with myself and try to push myself to do like last year. But as far as spreadsheets, and it is not my forte, and I've got to be honest, it's not something that I put a lot of focus on.
And again, I think that's okay. And like Jezebel just said in the chat, it's our own preferred style of working, our own personality styles. Most realtors are type D, on the disc profile. So you're not going to really want to sit down and crunch numbers, but you find the people in your world that are willing to help you do that or do it for you, right? So thank you everyone for sharing there. So, KW overall is a company with a huge vision, and I think we've uncovered a lot during this conversation already, but I want to pivot and talk about your vision. You guys have all built amazing businesses to date. So what vision do you guys have for your business going forward? let's start again with Vicky.
As far as a vision, my vision is always to grow. Like, I don't like to be on a plateau. I like to grow and expand. And like I said previously, I'm very competitive with myself. So I like to push myself to be better every day. And I like to set goals and focus on some numbers, and whatever number I did last year, I try to compete and focus on that for this year, try to compete on myself only. So again, my goal is to always just grow and never be on a plateau.
Amazing. And any chance of expanding either with realtors or with your team? What does that look like?
It is something that I started Keller Williams here in my area in Grand Falls. It's been 2 years now already, and we have another realtor here with me now, and we've expanded it with another realtor in the Edmundston area, which is about half an hour away. So it's growing, and I do want to grow. And I was listening to the teams just before this, and it was quite interesting. So you never know what the future holds.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's obviously an opportunity path that comes up as you're continuing to expand and as you're letting more into your life. And who knows, maybe you'll have a team, or maybe you'll stay solo, and that's okay. Whatever works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Brian, what's your vision for your business? I know you're all about consistency and kind of hitting that 50 transaction mark. What's next for you?
Yeah, my business is just, keep working hard and having fun. So, I've kind of realized, this is my sweet spot. So I have my assistant, he's getting licensed as well. So, more leverage, but still keeping it the same. But the same is not boring. The same is exciting. So it's kind of, just like Barb, we're besties, so we're living our best life, right? We share that marketing, which is amazing.
Stole my last name, but hey, that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Barb's amazing. So anyways, I just kind of I just keep on trying to live my best life, and so decrease stress, increase success. I don't want to I want to try to limit the stress, but still hitting that high level, which I have been. So nothing too crazy from myself, but you never know what can happen.
For sure. Great. And Barb, I know that you're kind of growing your team right now. You've got an admin assistant and you're hiring your second assistant. So tell us about your vision for your business.
So my first assistant, I got her licensed as well, just so that I could mentor her into like a buyer agent role, but she loves the admin part so much that, she's still doing that. And then I just hired a licensed showing assistant who will be coming on my team full-time in a couple of months. She's just doing some other things right now within the brokerage. And, honestly, I'm so thrilled that, we're able to have this career and, make this kind of income, that I want to pass that on to these people that join my team, and just so that they can live awesome lives. And I'm at a point now where that's what I want to focus on, is just training and mentoring them so that they can go do their thing and make lots of money and live great lives. And I can sort of spend some more time with my family. That's the vision.
I love it. I think in KW, we always talk about coming from contribution, and I can see all of you guys in your career. You're contributing either back to your communities, to the people around you, to your team members, to even just the people in your offices. So kudos to you. I think you guys are all doing an amazing job. Michelle, what's your vision for your business?
So my vision for my business is to assist and help others achieve their goals. But for the most part, main vision is I'd like more time with my family. That's one of my big goals, is to spend more time and to give my kids like a life that I didn't have, but obviously be there while they grow. They're still fairly young, 7 and 5. I also have an assistant. had spoken to her about possibly being licensed, but she just loves the admin role so much. That was really good, a good thing for me to hire her, because she takes care of a lot of my social media and even down to like purchasing, closing gifts and preparing them. So she loves doing those things, which is great. And I love being on my appointments. So she actually like prepares all of my folders for me. So I guess just to give her more work, I guess, to be more busy, to keep her busier as well.
Amazing. Andrew, what's your vision?
Well, I think Michelle and I should partner up and take over Canada. I think we have the same sort of vision here for. So yeah, I hired a licensed assistant, or not a licensed, sorry, I hired an assistant last year, and it's been a game changer for me. Like, it's increased my business probably by over 50% just in the first 6 or 8 months. But my assistant is just like Michelle's assistant. She loves the social media stuff. She loves going out and getting the gifts and things like that. So my vision, really, I would like to probably bring on a buyer's agent if my farming area goes the way I hope it goes. So bring on a buyer's agent next year was kind of my plan for that. And I really just want a nice, nimble 3-person team. I'm not looking to grow like a mega team or anything like that, and probably do 75 to 100 transactions a year. I'm in downtown Halifax, which has the highest average price. So I don't need to do like a ton of transactions to make good GCI. So yeah, just a nice little nimble team. I'm getting a little feedback here. I'm not sure why. Can everyone hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah. So that's kind of my vision. I really, I'm 47 now. I want to be retired by the time I'm 60. So I'm just going to put the pedal down for the next 10 years, and that's it.
Amazing. I really like the last comment that you said there, is that you want to retire. And I know this is kind of a running joke in our industry. Like, when's the last time you've heard of a realtor's retirement party? But I think, with the models and systems within KW, there's no reason why we can't achieve that, whether it's, putting the people in the right place, putting the right system, the right model, whatever that is, right?
Absolutely.
So speaking of leverage, actually, I want to talk about, first off, the first piece of leverage that you added to your business and the types of leverage that you have right now. Obviously, being the only realtor in your business right now, time is very important. So whether it's people, systems, models, what kind of leverage did you start with, and what kind of leverage do you have now? Let's go back to Vicky.
So I don't have an assistant or an admin.
What?
I know I'm about to kill myself with 128 deals a year. So I am not perfect, and I do need to work on that part. I just like to do things myself. Like, I just like to do, but I need to. I know I need to work on that. I hired a photographer. I started with that, so I do have a photographer taking care of that part. Which, as a realtor, like, if you take your own pictures, it takes a lot of time out of your day. But that's so far the only leverage I have. Like, I need to hire someone and so I can have a life.
Yes.
So we have a great realization right now. Vicky needs to hire an assistant, and we're going to help her with that.
Her life will change forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you guys know of anyone in Grand Falls, New Brunswick, hit Vicky up.
Yeah, I know. I need to get working on that. Do not ever do like me, because you will be working day in, day out, and you will not have a work-life balance. So hire yourself an admin.
But let's focus on other pieces of leverage. Do you have any systems, automations, anything that helps you kind of get some more time back in your life in handling close to 130 transactions?
Nope. I just don't have a life. So I just work all the time, and that's where I realize that's really important. Like, you do need help, and you can't do this, alone. It's not doable. So I'm working on that right now. But it's something that I need to work on, and I know that. So as far as leverage, I wouldn't be the right person to tell you what I have, because I don't have any leverage.
And that's okay. It's a great realization. And thank you for being vulnerable. Obviously, we're all in different stages of business. So I think it's good to see the contrast, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Awesome. Brian, what pieces of leverage do you have in your business?
So technology and people. It's all, you know me. It's always been social media, and then there's been a lot of changes even for all of us, just kind of natural technological changes. Where with showings we have Showing Time or Broker Bay, and with DocuSign, like all these things, all these technology advances have truly freed us up a lot, like at a base level. But then just with people too, with some of my other team members, my assistant, my stager, my photographer, everyone just kind of does their specialty, what they're passionate about. But yeah, a decent amount of leverage, anything that can free me up to do what I should be doing or want to be doing, basically, right? So.
Right. So is your focus solely on like the realtor activities, or is there anything still that you'd like to leverage out of your calendar?
Yeah, I'm still a little bit like Vicky there, where there's certain things where I like to do them and I don't want to give control of it, but I'm not doing as many deals as Vicky, but so I still kind of have the time. So sometimes you have to make a decision where the pain is too much and now you have to change. I haven't really reached that level where the pain's too high to kind of hand some things off.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Brian. Barb, I know you've
Diane,
got a couple of pieces.
Dying to help Vicky. I just have to say, like, my life changed the day I hired my first admin, and I was a solo agent for 5 years. I did leases on weekends. I missed cottage weekends. There's a lot of things, and I get that you have to work hard in the beginning to get to where you want to be. But the day I hired my admin allowed me to live in my strengths, and and it allows her to live in her strengths. And it's an amazing partnership because it loves paperwork. And so, I mean, that's what she loves to do. And I love to go talk to people and get listings. So it was just a game changer, sorry. And it just allowed me to, from the first year that I hired her, it actually quadrupled my income. I wasn't making, whatever. Anyways, I don't want to get into the income conversation, but it did increase 3 times is what I'm saying by hiring her, because I was able to go on more calls. And then, I forgot what I was going to say, but anyways, it was a game changer. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So I don't have a desire to have a big mega team either, like Andrew was talking about, but I think it's really, really key to forge awesome relationships with people like stagers, photographers. I give these people gift cards for being amazing. I thank them 100 times. My assistant thanks them. Just going above and beyond to really forge excellent relationships, because you're then their number one person. If you need something in a pinch, they're there because you've treated them with gratitude and kindness. So if you don't have a big mega team and don't have a desire to hire a whole bunch of people, you can still forge awesome relationships and still get the same effect.
I think that's a great point, for creating those strategic partnerships, whether it is with stagers, mortgage brokers, photographers. Those people also become an extension of your business, right? So finding those people first, making sure that, they align with your business and that they're treating your clients as how you would treat your clients. And then creating that power team around you, even though it's not just realtors, it's other businesses alike. Awesome. Michelle.
So I hired a photographer right from the start because I don't really enjoy editing photos and I don't have the eye like they do. So pay that professional to do what they do. I do have my assistant and she does a lot of my marketing, but something that she also does is like, I like to make things very personal for my clients. So like for their house anniversaries, birthdays, or just like Merry Christmas, I like to handwrite all my cards. So she'll prepare all the cards with the addresses, have them printed and everything. And I literally just need to look at the envelope. Oh, you know, this is for Kyle. And then I write a handwritten note and then she mails them off for me. So just like not having to worry about like, okay, whose birthdays are this month? And we do it once a month and she has everything ready for me at the beginning of the month. And then she just mails them out and I know it's done. So that was like a huge changer. Something else I also did to make my life easier. And I am very much so a person who doesn't like to ask for help, but once I did, it was huge. I actually have one of my nieces who does all of my daycare pickups. So I don't have to worry if I'm on an appointment at 5 o'clock. I know that my kids are going to get picked up and they're going to be home when I get back. So we all know how sometimes you think you have a listing appointment. It's going to be 1 hour and then it ends up being longer. And now you're panicking about picking up your kids and everything. So that was something huge, was just arranging childcare pickup for me was a huge stress off of my shoulders. And then also my accounting. So I do come from an accounting background, but I pay someone to do my QuickBooks for me because I don't want to do it. So someone else does that for me. So that is also how I leverage some of my time as well.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think, you know, the more small pieces of leverage, just like you mentioned, like arranging the pickup that you can add to your life, the more that you can, you know, focus on your family, but also focus on your business or at least the business building activities. So thanks for sharing, Michelle.
Oh, sorry. Can I add on the child pickup? So half the time I might not even be on an appointment. So I'm actually like preparing dinner for my family so that when they're at home, we can have actual family time and not be being distracted with other work things. So
amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Andrew.
Yeah, easily, like Barb, the biggest leverage, it was an assistant. For so long in my business, everything was up here in the top of my head. Like if there was 3 deals going, I needed to do this, I needed to do that, I needed to do this, you know, and everything was up here. And when I hired my assistant, and when you do this, Vicky, you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing you'll realize, you do not realize how much you actually do till you start trying to coach someone to be your assistant. It's amazing. And I highly recommend the career visioning. So I did that course and I followed that to a T with my hiring process. And I got a rock star. Like I got very lucky that I got the perfect person for the job. And yeah, we do for leverage piece, like what we did when we started is, as we were doing deals, we just start chronicling everything we did. And then she created a spreadsheet. We go back to our spreadsheets again. So when we get a new listing or when we have a buyer, she just goes through the spreadsheet and says, yep, done, 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 not done. Then she'll message me, Andrew, this is not done. We need to do this. So that helped a lot. And it's always great. You work all day and I actually come home and I don't have to worry about that friggin' paperwork, right? Because our office is just crazy for paperwork. So it's always got to be done. It's got to be done right. And I don't have to worry about that anymore because she does all that. And I just go out and I take my appointments and get the deal. Here's the deal. She processes it and it's done. And it's a godsend, but highly recommend career visioning.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like, you know, accountability is a big part of having leverage as well, helping you, you know, focus on the activities that are important. And for those on the call and for, you know, my panelists that I'm speaking to right now, really the realtor job should be lead follow-up, lead generation, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and scripting and role playing. And now start to think about how in your life you can add those little pieces of leverage so that you could really just focus on those big rocks. Awesome. So I know we're almost, it's almost curtain time here, but I want to ask you guys one last question. Obviously, you've built a really great relationship with your clients, which is why you're consistently growing, especially as a solo realtor. But can you guys just rhyme off quickly one thing that you do in the client experience process that really helps you create a powerful moment with your clients? Let's start back with Andrew.
Respond quickly. Someone texts you, if you're the client, always answer the phone. Like if you can answer the phone and don't ever go to another call when you're on the phone with a client, but I find clients just, when you're instant response, they're blown away. And that's one thing, like just pick up your phone when they call, don't put it off, don't call them in an hour, just always pick up your phone. If you get a text and you're right there, just answer them as quickly as possible. And that's, clients love it. They know you're there working for them. You're not putting them off, you know, so that's my biggest tip, is just pick up your phone.
Awesome. Michelle, what do you do in the client experience process that makes a powerful moment?
Well, I think it comes down to doing the full consult and just letting them know that I respect their time and I want them to respect mine as well. So I kind of get rid of tire kickers that way, because I know that they're either serious or not. And a lot of people don't realize, like, you only get paid if you're successful with the transaction, right? So technically we work for free. And once they realize that, they're a lot more respectful with my time and their own as well. And then 100% is communication. Like Andrew said, respond if you can. If you're not in an appointment and not doing something important, then respond. But I also communicate in my consult that, you know, if I'm out with a client doing a showing, that I'm with that client 100%. So, you know, within an hour or an hour and two, they should hear some sort of communication back from me. But if I don't, it's because I'm with another client and they'd want the same type of respect of my time.
Awesome. I think it's so important, especially if you're the only realtor on your team, to, you know, manage your priorities, but also manage your time wisely and also set the expectation with your client. So, you know, if it's, you know, by 9 p.m., I'm not going to answer my phone because that's my family time, then setting that expectation from day one. And instead of being a 24/7 realtor, be, you know, 9 to 9 or 9 to 8, or I even know realtors that are 9 to 5. So it's just about setting that expectation and communicating it properly, right?
Yeah, that's actually in my consult as well. As I tell them, like, my cell phone goes on do not disturb at 9. If I happen to be on it, I'll respond. But after 9 o'clock, if we're not working on a current deal, then I probably won't respond. And for the most part, they'll send a message and they'll say, hey, you don't need to respond, but so that I have it in the morning.
And that's a great way to avoid, you know, miscommunications or, you know, angry clients that are like, why are you not responding? So I think that's something that everybody should implement, just to kind of set those boundaries from day one. Mm-hmm. Barb, back to you. So what is something that you do to create a powerful moment?
I think honestly, it's just being genuine and real. And when, like, it's like a dog that can smell fear, I think people can smell intention. And I think I know that coming from contribution gets sort of cliche or gets used a lot. But I remember when I first started door knocking and I wasn't getting any success at all. And I just thought I was going to stop, right? And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to continue doing this for the year that I committed to it. And if I don't get one listing, at least I can say I tried. And I came from, you know, I'd knock on a door, they'd say, we're redoing our kitchen. The next day they'd get a kitchen remodeling magazine in their mailbox. Hey, just thought of you. I hope this helps. Like, just little things like that. And really showing that you genuinely do care. And the business is yours if you come at it at the business that way. I really, truly believe that. And I also just want to add, I think our secret weapon being a solo agent is that I think it's a huge value proposition that you can say that, you know, I don't have 10 or 20 listings at a time. I have maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4, and that allows me to give you my undivided attention. And, you know, doesn't your largest financial asset deserve that type of thing? And people love that because they get me from start to finish and not 3 or 4 other people throughout the process. So I think I've gotten a lot of listings because of that, because I compete with teams here in Toronto all the time.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. So we're almost out of time here, but I want to still let Vicky and Brian just briefly let us know what they do, or one powerful thing that they implement in their client experience. So Brian, in 30 seconds or less, what's that powerful moment?
Same with Andrew and Barb, and then plus, you know, the results, the personal touch, social media and video. And also we're really actually forming a culture with our clients. We have a lifestyle brand, live your best life. So we do a ton of client events. So it's just all about giving and passion, and people love it.
Thank you so much. Vicky, 30 seconds or less, what do you do to create a powerful moment?
I have to agree with everyone. Quick response time. I mean, build trust, be there, educate them, listen to them, be there for them, be passionate about what you do. So I mean, I think we're all on the same page.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for sharing, and thank you to the regional team first and foremost for putting on this amazing opportunity and all the planning that went behind this event. You know, I want to say thank you for everyone that's still on the call that took part in the 6 hours of amazing learning and education, and lots of collaboration from our culture, top producers. And, you know, I want you guys to leave this remembering that we can together achieve more. So thanks so much for joining. Thank you, everyone.